In a recent video, we looked at the events that would lead to Boba Fett making the decision to actually forego collecting a bounty on Starkiller for Darth Vader, a very rare occurrence for one of the galaxy's greatest bounty hunters. However, there were a number of other interesting aspects that would lead up to Boba's decision, involving the cloning program that was in full development upon Kamino at the behest of Vader, a process that Boba was personally attached to given his origins upon the planet and the connections it had to his father Jango. And as we'll see, found within the Force Unleashed 2 graphic novel, one of these aspects involved Vader betraying Boba by using him in the cloning program without the bounty hunter's knowledge, which had to influence Boba's decision to turn down the bounty on Starkiller, at least in that moment upon Kamino. After Vader hired Boba Fett to acquire Starkiller, making it clear just how dangerous his new target was, the bounty hunter would see Starkiller's skills for himself after following his path of destruction through the planet of Cato Nemoidia with a fellow bounty hunter named Zasha, who Boba was living with on Nar Shaddaa. As the two bounty hunters found that Starkiller annihilated an Imperial outpost and defeated a massive creature known as the Gorog, Zasha had to admit the bounty was beyond her skills, and suggested Boba join her in refusing the bounty and continue their partnership together. Boba rejected the offer, explaining he took the job and thus it had to be completed, saying goodbye to Zasha on Cato Nemoidia. Although Boba was still committed to the mission, he knew he needed another plan to capture Starkiller, knowing a direct confrontation would likely end very badly. At this point, Boba met with Vader upon Kamino, where the Sith Lord would tell him to capture the former Imperial, now Rebel, Captain Juno Eclipse, as that would lead Starkiller to them. But before that, Boba was shown a hologram of Vader and the clone Starkiller. As explained by Vader, Starkiller underwent an accelerated cloning process that was still imperfect, the confrontation eventually ending with Starkiller unleashing a barrage of Force lightning upon Vader. As Vader concluded Boba had seen enough, it was clear the bounty hunter was fixated on one aspect. Starkiller was a clone, a powerful one at that. While Vader provided Boba with the Imperial assets required to capture Captain Eclipse, Boba would first visit the cloning facilities upon Kamino. After finding a technician within the facility, Boba asked for clarity on what exactly Vader meant when describing the clones as accelerated, with the technician explaining the cloning process could develop a fully grown clone in only a matter of weeks. However, there were side effects, including abnormal brain development that made them unstable, but the technician was confident they would eventually get the process right. Clearly, Boba was interested in the process given his origins on Kamino, but he would eventually go back to his mission for Vader. Ultimately, Boba would succeed in capturing Captain Eclipse, bringing her to Vader on Kamino, which successfully acted as the catalyst for Starkiller to follow them with the Rebel fleet. As Boba attempted to finish the mission for Vader, obtaining Starkiller within his sights as the fleet entered Kamino's atmosphere, his success was interrupted by the battle that raged above him. As a squadron of Y-Wings and X-Wings descended upon the Imperial position, Boba retreated into the cloning facility as Rebel ground forces pursued him. It's here where Boba Fett would learn the truth about the cloning operations and Vader's betrayal. Boba would first come face to face with a clone of Starkiller, who was consumed by fury and attacked the bounty hunter with a lightsaber. The ensuing battle was brutal, as when Boba used his flamethrower against the clone, he was force pushed, just barely able to hang on to the platform. As the clone approached to deliver a final strike, Boba launched the rocket from his jetpack, scoring a direct hit and bringing a swift end to the confrontation. But Boba would then find the cloning technician again, angered he was attempting to flee the battle while leaving the clones to their fate, as he returned to Coruscant with the data developed on Kamino. Showing Boba's sympathy and connection to the clones, he was concerned about what would happen to them, something the technician hardly considered, suggesting he would just come back to Kamino after the Rebel assault to determine where the process went wrong. Boba was furious at the technician's attitude towards the clones, telling him they were the legacy of his father Jango Fett, and he wasn't about to see them left in the condition they were, clearly unstable from the cloning process. The truth behind the clones was then revealed by the technician, who explained that Boba was mistaken. They weren't clones of Jango, but of Boba Fett himself. When Boba demanded an explanation, the technician explained Vader hired a female bounty hunter to collect skin cells and hair samples of Boba to be used in the cloning process. Even more, this bounty hunter was able to acquire an imprint of his brain patterns, which allowed Boba to conclude the memory flashes given to the clones were from him. This meant the psychological conditioning given to the clones was directly taken from Boba. In short, they were very much the clones of Boba Fett and not Jango. It's clear the bounty hunter hired by Vader was Zasha, and this betrayal orchestrated by Vader had to have contributed to Boba's next decision. With his LD-1 target blaster rifle still aimed directly at the technician, Boba hesitated only for a second before deciding to kill him. Knowing the clones of himself were unstable in the same way the Starkiller clones were said to be, Boba decided he couldn't leave them to suffer such a fate. Instead, Boba would use his flamethrower to destroy the facility and the clones with it, before rejoining the battle between the Empire and the Rebellion. So there we have it, how Boba Fett discovered Vader was secretly making clones of him on Kamino. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me... For Starkiller clones.